it really is more of an art than a science. And as I explain my answer, I'm probably going to give conflicting information, which is just the classic lawyer. It depends, right? But for me, a sticky issue. So let's kind of start at the beginning. Like my stance on LOIs or term sheets or whatever you want to call them is generally a very broad strokes approach. Like I don't want you to give me the entire deal in an LOI because we don't have time to negotiate right now and it's just silly. So give me the broad strokes, give me the big deal points. But if you have a special issue, one that's specially important or one that typically you wouldn't expect to see in an M&A deal, in my mind, that needs to come up at the LOI too. Um, it's kind of hard to say exactly what it is, but like an example off the top of my head is like if you as a buyer want a 4-year survival period for the reps and warranties, that's weird. Like that's not a common ask. And so you should communicate that up front if that's something that you absolutely have to have because you're going to get pushback on it down the road. Like I said, it's more art than science, but it's just kind of the sense of is this outside of the normal scope for most transactions in this area? And probably for me, the answer of like, well, should we kick the can down the road or should we solve it right now? Is the question comes down to for your individual self as a buyer or seller is if they ultimately hold their ground on this issue, do I think there's ever a world where I could close over it and just live with it? And if you think that's a possibility, then sure, kicking the can is probably okay. But if you're dead set in your mind of no matter what, I cannot live with anything other than this exact deal point, then in my mind, you've got to solve it as early as you can because there's always a chance that the other side feels the exact same way about it. And if you're at a continual impasse and you know you're never going to get past it, then you're just signing up for either one, increased costs with an issue that you knew you couldn't get past, or two, one of you being incredibly frustrated and giving in on something you never wanted to and probably regretting it down the road.
So, okay, let me back up here for a second.
Yeah.
Is your advice to owners before they sign the LOI to call you guys? Because earlier it kind of sounded like you said that you kind of come in after LOI has been signed, but hearing that, it's like, should they talk to you before they even sign the LOI?
Yeah. So it is very common for us to not come in until the LOI is signed. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
poor practice. I think, especially because most lawyers will not take very long to review an LOI and give you some comments on it. So that the price you're going to pay for it is very small compared to the value you're going to get. The reason I think that you should involve someone early is to prevent that mismatched expectation of getting a deal point in the LOI that you probably wouldn't have agreed to if you had talked with your lawyer first. And I know the LOI is non-binding, but it still just muddies the negotiation if you come back to it and have to retrade on it later. So while it's common for people to wait until the LOI, I think a lawyer should be involved earlier and actually kind of, not to get too far on a tangent, but going back to the whole preparation thing, I think one of the most valuable things someone can do that thinks they might want to sell their business over the next, I don't know, 2, 3, even 5 years is to go find an M&A attorney, give them, $5,000 and say, here's my corporate book, here's my main contracts, here's kind of a small version of a data room that I would give. And I want you to take this $5,000 and spend time looking at it and then give me a list of high level potential issues that you see. This is going to give you two things, right? As a seller, it's first, it'll give you a list of issues of potential cleanup to make the deal easier. But second, it gives you a trial period working with that lawyer to know if you like them or not. Oftentimes, you pick a lawyer, you hire them after the LOI, they do the deal docs, and by the time you realize whether you actually like working with them or not, you're halfway into the deal and it's too expensive to switch anyone. So this gives you a kind of cheap entry level, hey, do I like this guy or not? I can feel confident going forward with the representation.